Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this week's devotion. Today we're going to be in Ephesians chapter 3 and Isaiah chapter 45. Ephesians 3, beginning with verse 7, and Isaiah 45, just one verse, verse 21. So just want to say, again, welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us again. Looking forward to Camp Week this upcoming Monday. I know it's going to be a lot different, as we've said many times before already, but we're excited about what's going to transpire. Just so thankful for all of our leaders who have put all of this together really just last minute. Not had a whole lot of time to prepare, and so we're just thankful for all of our leaders and our camp staff and so many who have put so much into it. I know that it's not going to be the same, but our kids are very excited about it. So thank you so much to all of you for making that happen. I look forward to being a part. Ephesians chapter 3, beginning with verse 7, says, "Whereof I was made a minister, according to the gift of the grace of God given unto me by the effectual working of His power. Unto me, who am less than the least of all saints, is this grace given, that I should preach among the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ, and to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world hath been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ, to the intent that now unto the principalities and powers in heavenly places might be known by the church the manifold wisdom of God." And that's where we're going to stop reading in Ephesians chapter 3. Hopefully you marked your Bibles. Turn over to Isaiah chapter 45, verse 21. It says this, "Tell ye, and bring them near, yea, let them take counsel together. Who hath declared this from ancient time? Who hath told it from that time? Have not I the Lord? And there is no God else beside me, a just God and a Savior. There is none beside me." And that's where we're going to stop, just those two portions of Scripture. So I want you to, again, listen with emphasis to these assertions and statements of Scripture that God has given us in these two portions of Scriptures. In Ephesians 3:9 says this, "God, who created all things by Jesus Christ." God who created all things by Jesus Christ. Listen to that claim or that assertion or that statement of God. Created all things by Him, Jesus Christ. Verse 10, "might be known by the church the manifold wisdom of God." And we're going to talk about those words, or that word manifold, and what it means in the wisdom of God in just a few moments. And finally in verse 21, "there is no God else beside me." There is none beside me. In other words, God is making the claim or the assertion that there is no one else like Him. Think about that. How unique He is. All He reveals in the Scriptures, it is just Him. No other God, no other person, no other thing beside Him. So for the honest seeker, a good question after hearing these things might be, who is God? Who is this being that makes all of these claims and assertions, that created all things by the man Jesus Christ? Who is He that says He has these qualities called the manifold wisdom of God? The God who says, "There is none other like me." There's no one else like me. These are quite some claims. So who is this God? What can I know about Him? Why does He say these things? One of the greatest tragedies facing the church today and our world is that many do not understand God's person, who He is, in His essence, as a being, as the God of all eternity, which He claims to be. There are so many in our world today who don't understand who this God is. Many do not understand how the God of the Bible, the Christian God, if you will, how He functions, how He acts, why He does things that He does. God has revealed all of this in this thing called the Holy Bible, the Holy Scriptures, and under the illuminating power of the Holy Spirit, we can understand all of it. And yet it is a great tragedy that the church and so many in the world don't understand who He is, how He acts, how He functions. So understanding the Christian gods begins with understanding His person. How can you trust or ever believe in someone you don't really know, or someone you don't really understand? I don't get Him. I don't understand why He does these things. I don't understand why He allows things to occur. You've heard it over and over again throughout your life. Maybe you've asked the question in your life, how does a loving God allow such things or tragedy to happen? So among many things He reveals about Himself in the Scriptures, many things there are, rather, that He reveals about Himself. We're going to consider a few today. So first in Ephesians 3:10, we read these words, "To the intent that now, under the principalities and powers in heavenly places, might be known by the church the manifold wisdom of God." What is the manifold wisdom of God? We don't talk about this term or this phrase very often, do we? But if we really knew what it meant, if God's people, in particular, especially God's people, the church, who He gave His revelation to, if we would only know what God meant by this phrase and to understand the manifold wisdom of God, we would not only be able to understand Him better ourselves, but to also help everybody out there in the world who questions God. Who is this God? Why does He make these claims and assertions? We would be able to help others understand who this God of the Bible really is, the Christian God, who He really is. We would not only understand them better ourselves, understand Him, but we are more equipped now to go out and to help others understand and see this great God. And if the church only knew how important the disclosure of God to His people really was, and they were sincere about truly understanding and knowing Him, I believe they would search this truth much deeper. Oh, we can really know Him personally and intimately. We can really understand Him. We can really see what He's revealed about everything going on about my life and your life and how it all fits together. Wouldn't you want to know more? If you really believed you could know more about Him and what He has said, I think we would. Manifold means variegated, exhibiting different colors or marked by variety, or multifarious. I hope I'm saying those words right. Having many varied parts or aspects of various types. So what the Scripture is saying is that there are many aspects or parts to this thing called the wisdom of God. God's wisdom, His knowledge, His information, who He is. There are things that are a part of Him, His being, His essence, that define Him. That define Him. Various things about Him that reveal to us and give us insight into Himself, into who He really is. And as I mentioned previously, how He functions, how He acts, why He does what He does, His character, who He is on His innermost self, His nature, if you will. And I ask you again, how many people have searched the Scriptures diligently and prayerfully about understanding the essence of this God? It is so vital, it's so important, it is so missed in the world. Who is this God? What is He doing? Who is He? How does He function? I know the vast majority of people, just to give you an example throughout the world, have heard this phrase before. God is a God of love. But what does that really mean? The Bible has taught us this. And even if you're a Christian or not, you have probably heard that before. God is a God of love. The Holy Scriptures have taught us this, that He is a God of love. But what does that really mean? What does that mean? Does it mean that God accepts all people and all activities as they are? Does it mean that He is always pleased with your activities and my activities and the choices that I make and the choices that you make? He's always pleased with that because He loves you. He's a God of love. You've heard it your whole life. Is that what it means? It doesn't matter what I do because God loves me. Is that what God's love really is? And listen, I believe this is what has become the popular teaching and acceptance of understanding God's love. That He is okay with you no matter what. Because the God of the Bible is a God of love. But listen, if we were to examine the character of God, everything we've been discussing thus far, the character of God, the manifold wisdom of God, the nature of God, the many aspects and many parts, the variations of God, and look deeper into His being that make up who He really is, we would find that God's love is much, much more than just acceptance. We would find that the true essence of God's love has to do with a commitment to doing what is right. A major component of God's love has to do with an act of the will, not just feelings. It's not just about your feelings. This kind of love is called agape love, a love that says, I want to be with you. I want to accept you in an intimate relationship, but not in a way that is based on feelings, but is based on commitment. And this is illustrated in God's design for marriage. When you take wedding vows, God's greatest earthly relationship of the relationship with Him is the marriage between a man and a woman. When you take wedding vows, if you're committed to doing it God's way, you must understand that commitment means forever. It's a lifetime commitment. Commitment means you work through your feelings with God at the center. No matter how high, no matter how low, it's always about God at the center. Because we love in the way God taught us to love, a committed love. I am committed to this relationship. And marriage today in our country is entered into with a belief that if you don't like it or if it gets too difficult, there is an exit strategy. And there's no real problem with that. And I hope you can see by abundant evidence going on in our world that is such a tragic and unfortunate reality, and how much damage it has caused to this world because so many people enter into this relationship with an exit strategy. If I don't like it, I'll just get out of it. And look at all the damage it's done. But don't misunderstand, there are innocent victims of separation and divorce. And every divorce does not mean that a spouse entered into their wedding thinking that they would exit. Not everybody thinks this way. But oh, how many do. A vast amount of people. And dare I say majority. But I'm talking about the predominant thought and acceptance of marriage. God would never want this to be the case. And the point with marriage is making the deeper point that God's love is about commitment, not acceptance, not about feelings. Commitment to love in a right way, His way, by His design, and in His timing is what a commitment, a true marriage relationship commitment is about. And get this, love is but one aspect, just one, of the many aspects, many parts, the manifold wisdom of God. It's just one part of it, what comprises of His character and His nature. To give you another brief example, justice. Justice is another component or part of this manifold wisdom of God, of who God really is. Remember when He said in Isaiah 45:21, which I read earlier, there is no God else beside me. A just God and a Savior. Justice in the eyes of God is doing what is right according to His holy, righteous, moral standard. There is a standard of right and wrong, and God is a just God, and He will always do what is right according to that standard. And one of the greatest threats to all of us as a people, as a nation, as a world, is that there is no standard anymore. Our world is becoming anything goes. Our world has become your truth and my truth and our truth. And there is no real standard. And when there is no standard, there is no peace. There is only chaos and confusion, no leadership, no authority. And there is nothing but damage and death and destruction and chaos. And I could go on and on. But when we talk about the justice of God, you must know that as an individual, as the church, in a world, anyone and everyone who will listen, if they will not abide with their lives by the standard of God who made them, the God who made them, then God in the end will do what is right, because He is a just God. In Genesis 18:25, God said, "Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? Shall not the God of all the earth abide by His own holy nature and standard?" One thing God reveals about Himself is that He always does what is right. Always. He has never failed at this. Justice, doing what is right. That has been such a big word in our society today. Justice or injustice. Men and justice systems may fail. Yes, that is true. But He has never, and He never shall fail. This God. And it's something very important you can know about Him. So God, this person, this being, who is He? Does God really love us? Yes, that is absolutely true, but we must understand what that love really is. We must go deeper. He loves us so much that He tells us what the consequences will be if we do not love Him back by making the same commitment to Him, to love Him the way He wants us to. Not the way you want to, but the way He reveals. He will be just in applying this standard. He will not pick and choose. He will do what is right. We cannot pick and choose what we like about God. We cannot pick and choose what we like in His revelation of His holy standard, of the Holy Scriptures. But we commit all of us to all of Him. That is what we must do. And in the end, He will do what is right. If justice is never served, and I emphasize never, if it is never served on this earth, will justice be served in the eyes of God and for all of eternity? You better believe it will be. Because yes, God is a God who will always do what is right. He is right in creating you, a free-willed spirit being. He is right in expressing His love towards humanity and letting them decide if He is what's best or if you think you are what's best. He is right in all of these decisions He has made. He is right. He has done right. He has always done right. He has always chosen the right thing for the major primary purpose of getting the love He desires. Not the love that all the world thinks that God is, but the kind that desires a commitment according to His holy standard and what He says is best. And listen, I know this devotion, this brief devotion, doesn't do God justice in this sense, that there is so much more to know and understand about Him and His character. We talked about two of the many, many aspects, the manifold wisdom of God, love and justice, just briefly. But listen, I pray that we get a glimpse of the fact that if we could only understand who God really is, why He does the things He does, allows the things He allows on this earth. If we could only get a glimpse of that in this devotion, and I pray in more devotions and in more sermons and messages throughout the days, the years, Lord willing, as long as He tarries. If we will get this, then we will have a deeper and more meaningful understanding of life and how we fit into it according to God's plan for all of humanity. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't the world be so much better off That no matter who you are, you know that your life is precious, that your life means something to God. If it meant nothing to anybody else, it means something to God, the God who created you. God wants you to do what is right, not for anyone else's sake, but for His. To do what is right. These are things that He reveals in the Holy Scriptures about Himself. And if we have Him as our standard, I assure you, you, your family, your community, your country, and this world would be so much better off knowing Him and who He is. And it's hard to envision how great that would actually be. As somebody who loves this God and knows a part of what He has revealed, how great would it be? It's hard to envision how wonderful that would be. But I challenge you to do your part. Learn of God through Jesus Christ. Learn of His person. Learn of His character. Learn how He functions through Jesus Christ. And if you haven't already, give your life to Him. Surrender it all. Let Him make the difference He knows He can make. And I know you won't regret it. If you will see Him for who He is, it will make all the difference in the world. Search me, O God, and know my heart today. Am I searching your heart to find out about you and to find out how all of this functions, how it all works together for your good and for your glory? Amen. Let's pray. Father, we thank you so much for this time together as we look forward to another week of camp. Father, I know it's a unique week, but Lord, we're so excited for the opportunity for those of us who are a part of this denomination and beyond, and those of us who invite friends and know people who come. Often we pray that you would help us to understand the things that we need to know through camp and through devotions, Father, that we have that you have shared with us your heart. Lord, we can be so thankful for that. Through the Holy Scriptures, you have revealed yourself. As I've told so many people so many times, you're not afraid of our questions. You're not afraid for us to know you and who you really are. Because, Father, in the end, if we will truly seek, Father, and if we will believe, we will know that you have our best interest, Father, and that we will benefit from a knowing relationship with you. So we thank you so much for this time together. We pray your blessing upon everyone throughout this week and through the coming days. Continue to be with our country, our first responders, and for all of those who may have been unjustly, Father, whatever the injustice may have been, Father, throughout this world, we pray for those needs to be met. Father, with you being at the forefront, and that you would bring good to each and every situation. We love you and thank you for this time together. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. God bless you.